What is the point of networking? Career development. It makes you better rounded because you're surrounding yourself. You find yourself digging deeper and deeper and deeper into groups, associations, relationships, and you learn from that, right?
Absolutely.
What is the blooming point? Why? Why network, Rob?
I'll tell you why, Sheryl. It is so important for my business to grow. Without networking, my business does not grow.
That's the point, growth?
Growth. But the other side too, though, is why do I network? The network is to collect data for my database.
Okay.
So I can increase my connections, I can increase my contacts to build and growth for my business.
All right, so you want to join us here for the next several minutes as we have a discussion because we come from two different points of view on this. What the point is for networking. Why do we do this stupid stuff, right? That's not so stupid, but some people feel it is. So this is Network Today. We're all about taking you from meeting people to
making money
faster. So the goal here is to give you some points to ponder, to help you pull apart some of those big questions that might be really holding you back or holding other people that you know back. That's an important part of what we do here too, is some people feel like, yeah, Sheryl, I got it. Got it. I know it all. But you know what? You could send people to this podcast that are on your team or that you network with that aren't that good.
Right.
And they could be better.
And the whole thing too is people truly don't take networking seriously. You know, it's becoming just a happy hour deal, Sheryl. Yeah. And I really think that people got to drill down. They got to get below the surface. They got to get to the meat and potatoes of this thing and understand, do you have a networking plan? Do you have a networking strategy? Yeah. Those are so important.
That's right. So we're going to dive in here in just one sec. But before we do, I want you to do one thing for me. So if you're watching this through YouTube, I want you to go down and like and subscribe, please, because that's really, really important as we build this. We recently launched the YouTube platform as our primary platform. So that's important. And then share it. All right. So we want that.
Absolutely.
Comment. We want to hear back from you. And let's dive in. So networking, what is the bloomin' point? And I got a what and why. This is from betterup.com.
Okay.
Betterup.com. 5 reasons networking is important for career development. So that's where I come from. So you say it's collecting for your database, it's growing your business. I really, as I'm researching this, felt like, what is the point of networking? I think it's not, you have personal development. People are really big on that. I know you are with all the books you read. But career development, it makes you better rounded because you're surrounding yourself. You find yourself digging deeper and deeper and deeper into groups, associations, relationships, and you learn from that, right?
Absolutely.
So I love the career development. So here are 5 reasons why networking is important based on betterup.com's site here. So number 1, it contributes to your social well-being. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think it's really, really important, especially now after COVID, that we were kind of locked in jail for about nearly 3 years. Now, we're back into doing the in-person networking and so on. And I really, that mental health is becoming such a big issue nowadays.
Yeah, it is. And I do think that the whole sequestered lockdown time exposed in each of us what our tolerance for alone time was. And we've talked about this in previous episodes, but I did recently have to go to a networking event just because I missed people. Like I was in the house with my laptop and my bestie, for like 2 days. And I'm like, I am done. I have to get out and see people. So number 2, networking leads to the exchange of ideas.
Absolutely. I always believe that, 1 + 1 = 3. You've got to be able to have someone to talk to and that you can take your idea and with a little bit of help from somebody else, you get that creative brainstorming and boom, you get an explosion of big idea.
There's an amplification process that takes place when you network properly. All right. So network properly. But the exchange of ideas is a big one because then it's not just you can expand your mind to think about what others might bring via their perspective. Number 3, networking helps you meet people at all professional levels.
That's a great thing because again, when you go to a networking group, you're meeting someone who just started out in a job. You're meeting somebody who just graduated from college.
Yeah.
You met somebody that got laid off at the corporate level for they were with this company for 25 years plus.
Yeah.
So you're meeting all kinds of people, and it's really neat. Again, what about building relationships? You want to help people. So
Right.
it gives you that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. It does, and it makes you well-rounded. So number 4, networking boosts your professional confidence. Did it help you? What was your confidence level prior to really networking kicking in?
I mean, I'm an introvert, which again people don't really understand. But when I'm outside and by myself, I love that. It's so comforting to me.
Yeah.
But what networking did again, it honed my skills of
Right.
being able to interact with people better, getting more confident. It's like everything. Practice makes perfect kind of thing. And going to networking meetings is very, very helpful.
Yes, indeed. And it has helped my professional confidence because I wasn't confident meeting people, believe it or not, like when I first started. So, go back to episode number 1. I think I talked about that a lot.
Absolutely.
So number 5, networking expands your visibility. I think this is a huge overlooked component. What do you think?
Absolutely. I really think that point, Sheryl, is so important because, again, when you're out there and people see you over and over again, and again, it's helped my business because, especially in this last, probably, when I started going to mid-market professionals, nearly 3 years ago, and you become a regular, people they look for you to be there.
Yeah.
And when you don't show up, and so now that visibility factor does work.
Yeah, well,
So-
then they start putting the GPS out for where's Rob? Where's Rob? Where's Rob? Like, where
So I
is
think
he?
that's a huge thing that's overlooked.
It is, and let me tell you how that takes you from meeting people to making money. And I'm not going to drill down on the whole story, that saga that I'd given before in a previous episode, but here was the deal. Somebody that my husband and he knew, we'd had lunch years ago. He promised all this stuff, or I can't say promise. He just said he was going to, all these things were probably going to happen. They didn't, but that's okay because life happens, right? And dial forward about 5 years later, he sees all of the activity, all the networking activity on LinkedIn. He reaches out to my husband and says, hey, let's forge a relationship. We show up for the event. And he says, I want to introduce everybody to Sheryl because she's making things happen in DFW.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, and not that I'm that great. I just kept after it long enough so that somebody saw what we were doing and said, hey, you need to be a part of that. Right?
Yeah, and this reminds me of one of your favorite statements where you say, we're in this thing for the long term.
Yeah.
You can't just do it for 90 days, don't get results and quit. You've got to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah. In it to win it.
There you go.
So that's what I got from betterup.com. So I want to go back to our opening discussion before the camera started rolling, and we have our little vetting session, and we were talking about what is the point of networking, and you were talking about collecting data.
Right.
How do you collect the data, and how is it used in order to expand your networking?
Yeah, I mean, this is crucial to my marketing plan about what I do in networking, because it's all about, you've got to have contacts so you can reach out to people, and not necessarily to sell them something. Everyone always takes that first, it's to sell them something. No, it's to get to know them and maybe how I can help them.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can help me by introducing me to somebody else to help continue building my contact list. But so, yeah, you got to get that thing out of your mind where you're saying, I need to collect cards to sell somebody.
Right.
And so I want to build my database of people. And I want to vet this too, Sheryl. Like I can go to a whole month of networking events and say, collect 100 cards. But the reality is maybe only 20%. The good old 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Only 20 cards are going to be good. So I can, throw away the other 80 cards.
Yes.
But I can focus on those 20 new contacts.
Yeah, well, and so what you're talking about, and if you're new to networking or you're like, hey, you're really struggling with trying to make this thing work, what's the point of this whole activity? Is to help leverage that one relationship into 5 new relationships. One of those relationships into 5 new relationships, and so on and so on. It's the old. So do you remember the Fabergé organic commercial from back when we were kids? It was the early 70s. Sorry for those of you who are like, I wasn't even born then. Don't tell me. But do you remember that? So they told two persons, and they told two people, and they told, and then all the little. So the one picture on the screen turned into two.
Yeah,
and then
I remember
they kept,
that now.
Like,
yes,
multiplying through osmosis.
I like that shampoo too, though. It really smelled really good.
That's right. But that's it. So it's they told two people and they told two people. And you begin to leverage your time better so that now you can move into money-making mode. You can manage your day to make money during your money-making hours, network on the tertiary of that, and leverage those relationships so you're not cold calling during money-making time.
No, absolutely. Again, it goes back to what you do with those cards that you collect. Don't let them just stay on your desk and collect dust, like, I'm guilty of doing. But when I do focus on, I go to their LinkedIn profile to connect with them. Then I find out who they're connected to that I would know, that we have the same common bond there. And there's so much research that you can do to build those relationships to be quality and like what you said, not just making it a cold call.
Yes. Well, and so we're talking about networking through career development. That really stood out to me when I was doing my research on this, because I'm thinking so many people do it. So I can't say I consciously do it to expand my database, although that's kind of a byproduct, right, of meeting people and building your LinkedIn, whatever. But truly, I think for me, it made me a better person. So I'm not just at home doing my thing the way I want to do it. And then, because we ultimately find a wall, right? We get stale. Our clients are like, it's Rob again. It's Sheryl again, right? So, it keeps things lively and it allows you to be a greater resource to people, so everything begins to get better. Your world becomes more colorful.
I mean, that's so true, because, I remember our last couple of guests, Steve Conwell, when we talked about alumni. Again, when you're hearing his perspective of what he does about building his database and so on, I mean, that was, to me, that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
So it's
not to sell, but to develop relationships.
Absolutely.
To follow up. So here on LinkedIn, this was about the career development, because this is a really important component. I think it's going to get more important as we get into a difficult economy. Now, granted, in Texas, we're not going to deal with it nearly as much as those outside of Texas, but certainly in the DFW area, we are blessed.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that things don't get harder as tech layoffs happen, as AI might be introduced, as interest rates climb to 7%, as gas prices go to $4 a gallon, right? So all of those things are factors in how businesses then begin to lay people off and streamline a little better. So looking for a gig, is it easier or harder when you have a larger network?
Oh, much easier.
Yeah.
I mean, I like where you're going with this, because again, when the economy does slow down, my business has not been affected by this because of the fact that through my networking strategy, that I'm building the foundation before I need it. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
it's one of my favorite networking books by Harvey McKay, where he says, dig your well before you're thirsty.
Yes. Yeah. Plant a tree. If you want one today, you have to plant it yesterday, right? So when is the best time to do that? Yesterday, not today. So when can you begin? Today, right?
Yeah.
So start immediately. But this LinkedIn article is really good. It's from 2022, talking about career development. And certainly LinkedIn, I think the pre-pandemic thought process was LinkedIn was the job finding, right? It was kind of like an Indeed, only a little more, professional networking. But I think now people understand the value of professions, but we're also going to think about the whole job seeking thing again. And as people level up, so there are a lot of people who might be in transitions. It's so much easier. Let me tell you, you network. You have good conversations with people. You go to LinkedIn, you find that, oh my gosh, the person you're interviewing with for another position at a new company, you happen to meet somebody who's connected with them on LinkedIn. Is that a better conversation?
Oh, absolutely. And an interesting statistic, Sheryl, is the fact that 70% of jobs are found through networking. I thought, before I read that, I thought it was the other way around, where all the, the Monsters and Indeeds and so on, I thought they provided 70% and networking 30%, but no, networking provides 70% of the job opportunities.
Yeah, and then it becomes not a job transaction.
Right.
It becomes a new opportunity truly to level up your professional profession.
Yeah.
There we go.
Up your game.
That
there you go.
That was ominous. So I really love the whole job opportunity component to this. And then for me, I just liked getting better. So Forbes has 10 reasons why you need to network. You want to hear why?
Lay it on me.
Because it's interesting to see when you see Better Up that wrote the article about the same time as Forbes. Exchanging ideas, right? It's an avenue. It makes you noticeable. We talked about that. Newer opportunities, right? Touched on that. Reassessing your qualification. What does that mean to you?
Wow. Reassessing your qualification. I haven't seen that one before. I'm going to have to think on that one. But, I guess, again, when you're out there in the networking community, we're trying to give to people and build those relationships. You've got to, for me anyways, I guess I've got to reassess what value can I give back to the community.
Yes. And two, I think it gives you the perception anyway that you might be bigger than just your job, right?
Oh, okay. I like that. Right.
So it qualifies you. Networking, so the larger your network and the better you are at managing that network, provides you more qualification opportunities to move outside of where you have been.
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh my gosh, you need to know Rob.
Right?
Right.
Because that's a great point. I
I thought that was really good. Improves your creative intellect. I think that kind of goes back to the idea exchange, but it's an isolated item here. You'll like this one. Forbes says it's an extra resource library.
Ooh.
Isn't that a great way to put it?
That's a great way. Yeah, absolutely. You've got, all your contacts, connections, you got at your fingertips as a resource. That's a great, I like how they put that.
Yeah, well, and I know that when somebody, now people come to me and they say, hey, either I'm looking for a job or I need to hire somebody, can you help me? Now, because I built my network out, I can go to LinkedIn, I can search in the keywords, I can go to my email, I can go to my current one-on-ones, put in keywords, and find those people. And people are like, what? How did you? I'm like, hey, it's a disciplinary practice that over the course of the last 5 years or whatever, this is where we're at. And so you become a library. Support from high-profile individuals.
Yes.
I mean, what high-profile individuals has networking taken you into that you feel like, hey, without it, I wouldn't have gotten there?
Well, I mean, I think a good high-profile person for me would be Tom Bronson.
Yeah.
Very, very successful business owner who, he sold out, started his new company about business coaching, and by getting to know him, he has put me in contact with people I would never have a chance to get past the gatekeeper. So,
and I think about our conference, right? And the fact that we have a podcast on networking.
Right.
And so that's led us to Dean Lindsay, right? Mike Rose, and certainly, people like Grace Spees.
Right.
You're not just a member for the Farmers Branch Chamber. You're a valuable component because of your resource library.
I like that phrase.
I know, it's going to be your new one, right?
It is, absolutely.
So growth and status and self-confidence, and I think that we've already addressed that as well. But so as we wrap,
okay,
what's the point of networking? Has your mind changed since
Not
we
at all.
traveled down this? Okay.
It's really kind of, it's reinforced it. It's strengthened in saying that you've got to get new connections. You've got to add that to your database. You've got to build and grow your database so I can do all the things that we just talked about. So yeah, I think it's, getting connections. But again, it's like we talk about all the time, Sheryl, the follow-up, the execution, you get the action plan. Just do it.
That's right. Exactly right. And I can tell you too that networking is exhausting. However, he who does what others don't want to do is always the one who
Yeah.
wins more.
Yeah, absolutely.
He or she. Can I say he? I don't know if I can say that in today's world. They, I don't know. But anyway, the person who does those things that other people don't want to do are the ones who win. And so there are times that I want to say, hey, I'm just going to scrap all my networking meetings today. I don't want to do any one. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. But I'll tell you, okay, I promised. And if I can make it happen, I'll make it happen. And it's always for the better, right? Now you're further ahead in the networking food chain. And that will help your career development, your business growth like nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think too is you know, we've got to kind of reinvent the word networking and you know, and change it. You know, it's that buzzword, I think, for the last 25 years. It's got kind of worn out.
Yeah.
And it does have, as soon as we say that, open our mouths and say networking, like people want to, you know, shut down, you know,
That's right.
close their ears. Oh, not another networking story. So maybe that's something that we can work on, Sheryl, is how can we change the perception?
Well, there's one thing that you're going to hear about from us, and that's some big announcements that are coming soon.
Yep.
And one of those has to do with a collaboration station, right? So
Right.
I think we'll be able to build on some of the alternative words
Yeah.
for networking so it's more meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because I do think we use words so much
Right.
that they became like, I don't even know what that means anymore, right?
Right.
We just become numb to it.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So we'll be announcing some of these things soon. It's gonna be
Kind of
super
exciting,
You're
super
gonna
exciting.
Love it.
Yes.
All right, let's end
Okay.
with your 3 action items.
3 action items. One is get a CRM package that will help you build and track your database.
Oh, that collection of
Right. Take all those 200 cards on your desk and input them into a CRM. And there's a lot of CRM. We've talked about this. I can't remember what episode it was, but you know, there's even free CRMs out there. You've got to do that.
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 2 is you've got to develop your power team that is from the connections that you've got.
Yeah.
So those are important people that you were talking about. Who are the important people in your networking community?
Those are 2 episodes. So go back into the YouTube channel, and you're going to see those episodes 6 to 9 months ago,
right,
respectively.
And number 3 is again it's the follow up of maintaining the contact, maintaining the connection to the people. So you've got to sort out. You say you have 1,000 people. Well, Rob, I can't talk to 1,000 people. But no, narrow 80-20 rule. You don't have 1,000. You've only got 200. Narrow that down so you find out who your top 50 are, your top 100 are, and so on. Narrow it down to the important people.
Yeah, Bob Bodine.
Yeah.
Power of Who.
There you go. There you
Is
go.
that what it is? Did I get that one right?
Well, no, it's strategic connections. The power of 50. 5, 50, and 150.
Oh, who was the Power of Who? What was
The power who Bob Bodine.
Oh, okay.
But he was saying, you don't have to network because you already know enough people.
Okay. Well, but you built them through networking.
And you built them through networking.
And you know what? They're going to leave you, so you might as well keep networking and finding new. That's right.
Well, absolutely. We all go through people.
That's right. Why network? What's the point of networking? It's career development.
It's building your database.
That's right. So network today, where we take you from meeting people to
making money
faster. I'm Sheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we will see you next week.
This has been a Purple Cow production.